Hello, my name's Carl Wilkins with World Outside My Shoes, and I'd like to talk with you for a few moments about a hope-based process for addressing division. But before we go there, a little bit of background. In 1994, I stayed in Rwanda during the genocide against the Tutsi, trying to help. And when people hear about that, one of their first questions is, well, what's it like in Rwanda today? And I love to tell them about the first high-tech smartphone factory on the continent and drones delivering medical supplies to remote clinics. This one's my favorite, Gender equality. Rwanda is among the top 10 countries in the world. Then people ask, well, what happened to the people who are doing the killing? And when I tell them that most of them are home helping rebuild the country, they're like, what? Can people who killed their neighbors live peacefully with those they failed to kill? Which is a really good question, especially when you know that more than 1 million of Rwanda's 7 million citizens were killed, often by their neighbors. So that question is one we work to answer every year when we go back with teachers, recently business groups, that yes, the answer is a resounding yes. They can and do live peacefully together. It takes a lot of courage, resilience, time, and seemingly impossible choices at times, but with choices comes hope. And one of the tough choices the new government had to make in rebuilding was to move from a punitive style for those who committed genocide to a restorative one, where you need all the voices to understand the harm and to try to build a repair plan. Another way to look at this restorative process is with healing as the top priority. Of course, you need justice for healing to happen, but it's a real game changer when healing is the top priority. So this is how it played out in Rwanda. They literally blanketed the country with these community courts, and people had opportunities to confess, to ask questions, basically learn the truth, understand the harm, and begin to engage. And then they developed a repair plan that was brilliant. It was largely about community service, but also about punishment. Really gave many people an opportunity to reinvent themselves and reintegrate back into the community. By now, people are saying, do you think this restorative thinking could work in our country? And my response is, well, depends on us. You see, when we have problems in our town, schools, businesses, faith groups, our families, are we willing to prioritize repair over blame? You see, the Rwandan people made 3 powerful choices. They chose to stay together, they chose to be accountable, and they chose to think big. And it's the results of those choices that have inspired us and compelled us at World Outside My Shoes to develop this hope-based process for addressing division. You don't want to just go straight into engaging the other without preparing yourself or reframing the other. So in this 6-part journey filled with stories, the first idea about preparing yourself, a lot of it is about shifting our mindset from a punitive blame mindset to a restorative healing mindset. With trust, one of the things we consider is building that with social emotional intelligence and the skills associated with that. Then when you think about reframing, we start with the power of one thing thinking, the destructive power. How, you see a Black Lives Matter sign or a MAGA hat and you're like, oh, that's all I need to know, about that person. No, it's not. We are so much more than what separates us. And developing an eye for the good, a habit, neural pathways of finding the good, really helps protect against the trap of one thing thinking. When it comes to engaging, service, a way to understand, to discover shared goals. I love this idea that when we engage our mind and our muscles in acts of service, it changes the way we think about ourselves, think, feel, and act towards the other. Exploring the deeper why, probably the toughest, because we have to lay judgment aside and really go deep to understand the story behind the action that's dividing us. And that story, when we can really understand the story, begin to connect hearts, empathy, that's when we have a hope for addressing division. It's about a 3-hour process, although it can be broken down into segments and focus more in one area than the other according to your needs. Maybe you'd like to share this link with a colleague, and then go ahead and shoot us an email. We'd love to talk with you about how we can tailor this to the needs of your team, your community. You know, when I look at how far Rwanda has come, what they've been able to accomplish, I'm more convinced than ever that we can repair relationships, even build new ones where there were no relationships before. Thanks so much.